Welcome to the Sligo Metalheads podcast in advance of this year's Whiplash Festival coming in August, hitting the mean streets of Sligo. You better get ready, you Whiplashers. So to give us some background and context to the Sligo metal scene, I'm joined by three OGs, Damien McSharry, Paddy Clarke and Kieran Walsh. So the boys are going to talk about growing up in Sligo, what it was like, heavy metal, listening to the music, just to give us a flavour of back in the day and about their passion, because the boys are living and breathing this for about 40 years. So first question is to Damien, and we're going to ask Damien, what's your memories of getting into metal and who were the bands that you were listening to at that time, Damien?
1982, Benny Hopkins arrived into my house and he says, listen to this. And he put on a whole lot of Rosie. And I thought, wow, well, that's good stuff. So that was probably the first time I heard, well, you might have heard bits and pieces, but that's probably the first time I heard something like that. So I got into that. And I remember him getting Number of the Beast, which was 1982 as well, and playing that. These were just coming out fresh. And we'd be listening to different... You didn't have a lot of money back in the 80s, so you kind of scrounged whatever you could or listened to whatever music. But it started off like that. And then you'd get a bit of... It was kind of early metal, Sabbath, stuff like that. I do remember another guy actually was in my class, and he's gone again too, Jerry Keaveney, and he was mad into Tin Lizzy and Saxon. We used to have a bit of banter, so we did. This was back in 1982. I remember him talking about it in all the bands. And you try and save a few pence, buy a few cassette tapes, believe it or not, and just see what you could, pass round tapes. We used to record songs off albums and all that kind of crack. So I started on the normal stuff, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Maiden, Motorhead, Rainbow, Saxon, all that kind of stuff. Then Trash came in kind of in 83, 84, sort of started off. So we kind of moved up a level to the faster stuff and tried to get our hands on as much of that. But again, it was hard got, but that was the kind of the bands. And then there was a bit more kind of hardcore stuff, if you can call it that.
Perfect.
Suicidal tendencies, dead brain cells,
Romance,
that kind of stuff. And that's really what we started on.
So let's go back. It's 1984. The two of you, Kieran, yourself and Damien, you're in Summerhill. Are there any more lads into metal in Summerhill, or were you the two, or did you have to corrupt the boys that were in the class as well? Did you have an influence on the lads that you were going to school with?
Damien went into Summerhill, I think, was 81, I was 84, so a few years after. But in my class, in first year, it was only myself and David Ugan were the only ones. And we were trying to rev up everybody, but there was an awful lot of sub-genres of people who were very individual back then.
Yeah,
I have a 15-year-old, and she tells me that you don't stick out. Everybody look the same, or you get slagged. Back then, you had the Cure heads, and you had the goths, and you had the punks, and you had the hard rockers, and you had the metalers. So it was mainly just myself and David Ugan. And then as we went into second and third year in Summerhill, we started mixing classes with we were in 104, so there was 105, 106 in Summerhill, and we started mixing with other lads. And I remember Bertie Kilfeller, or Ken as people will know him. I always know him as Bertie. And Bertie was a mad cult fan of the old New Romantic kind of style stuff, and then they went into the harder rock stuff from Electric, and then into more metal-y sound with Sonic Temple. After, so he kind of crossed over, started listening to some of the metal stuff, so we kind of corrupted him a bit. Of course, then there was Mickey Downs and all the Maher Boy lads in around second and third year, and we all started. And then we started to go to the gigs. Then when we started getting a few quid in 86, 87. So, but around then, very, very few. The younger lads coming up behind us, they were. They had a little bit more thing on us. As Damien says, there was no money. We had no money. Like pocket money was 3 or 4 quid a week. I remember getting. So
hey, you were rich.
We were doing well. Swapping tapes and tape trading was massive. Like that was the thing at the time. So, but yeah, when it started off, I was looking to Damien and Benny Hopkins and Mark Ugan and those guys. They were the few years below me, so I'd be looking at them scrounging whatever you could records off these guys. That's what. But it hit then 86, 87. You had all the Bon Jovi stuff came out, Poison, Aerosmith, and all this kind of stuff. So it started to get more popular, the softy kind of stuff. But as Damien says, we got into the thrash stuff. and it really took off after that.
Yeah, so just for our viewers and listeners, I wasn't joking when I said it was 40 years ago. It literally was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So, Paddy, you into the tech. Was there many of the lads into the metal down there, or what were your pals listening to back then? What was your memories?
Well, in my class now, there was myself and Kenneth Brandley and Ray Conway, and that. We were all mad into the thrash metal back then. Kenneth was kind of, he was listening to Europe and that, you know, that kind of way. He was kind of that kind of side, but we were Metallica and Slayer and Sepultura and all that kind of stuff. The trashier side of it we were. But we weren't like the boys, we weren't posh. We just had bootleg tapes or putting songs on the radio, be pressing buttons, trying to record off the radios and that, if you were lucky enough to have a song on the radio, you know. And sitting down watching, waiting for Headbangers Ball to come on a Sunday night.
On MTV.
On with the VCR. The triple trash treat, we used to be trying to record that, and then we'd play it then for the fucking full week in the house and wreck the parents' heads.
But this is it, like, you know what I mean? It was back before smartphones, it was back before, way before the internet, records and tapes, and you know what I mean? It was just word of mouth and you were relying on your friends, so it wasn't easy to come by. You know, in the digital era now, you have Spotify and you can stream the music, but back then you had to rely on, as you said, tapes and LPs and cassettes and all the rest of it, and press and record and play it on the cassette deck. So, Damien, speaking of that, when you were into the music back then, and if you had enough money, where did you buy the music? Where did you go to get your music? Was it Sligo? Was it Dublin? Was there a good selection in Sligo back then to get the music that you liked?
There was a good selection of the normal stuff, Maiden, Rainbow, AC/DC. You get it in Star Records, and then the record room opened, I'd say it was 83 up on High Street. And he was a bit slow at the start getting into it because he didn't know it was a market, but he soon discovered there was a market for it in the mid-80s, and he started having whole sections of it. So then you get it. But we used to go, I can remember sending off postal orders to Dublin, to the sound seller, and getting albums back. You know, you go in, it's
That's
just
right,
a different age.
Tommy Tighe.
Tommy Tighe, the sound seller, he'd have something in, or you'd hear about something, and you'd ring him up, and you'd say, I'll send you up the money for that, send it down, and you get an album arriving in the post. But that was kind of, and we go to concerts and we pick up albums as well later in the 80s, but most of the time we'd be scrounging music rather than buying it.
We used to, Kieran O'Donnell used to be up there, and he was playing the guitar, and I used to give Keith money. I give him a tenner if you had it, and he'd go up to the sound seller and Tommy Tighe.
Was he working on the trains?
No, he was working. He was in the school up there learning the guitar. Kieran O'Donnell was. He was in college or something up there, and I used to give him a tenner. He came back then with likes of Paradise Lost, Shades of God was probably the first one that he bought back for me, because you couldn't get it in Sligo because everything had an import sticker on it if it came to Sligo, you know, and you'd pay over the odds then for it. but I love him all the same.
That's right,
If you bought it somewhere in town, there was an import sticker put onto it, and then there was an extra fiver put onto it then. Fiver was a lot of money back then, so you just got on with it, you know.
It's mad when you look back. So, Kieran, do you remember buying your first T-shirt? And who was it? What band was it? Where did you get it? And again, what was the selection like for people that were into metal music back then? Like, it was the early days. You know, we weren't as connected as we are now around the globe. So how did you go about getting T-shirts?
Because there was a few around town, but they were terrible. Like, there were these Chinese knockoff kind of T-shirts with the wrong print, the wrong logo, but the band name. But I remember it was my second gig in '87, and it was first thrash gig, which was Testament and Anthrax. And Anthrax was the first T-shirt that I bought. I remember paying £8 for it. We would have been, if you were working, you would have been earning about £2 an hour. So this was like working for 4 hours to get the T-shirt. So yeah, I got Among the Living was the album, and Among the Living was the tour. And they played with Testament. It was absolutely awesome. I think it was in the SFX in Dublin. 900 people, I think it holds, something like that. I think, Damien, would that be about right?
Something like that,
900 people, yeah. Should have, sweat. You couldn't move in the place. It was around the time when all the mosh, Anthrax were bringing in all those terminology, knot and mosh, and the place was mental. But your T-shirt was your badge of honour.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you were a poser if you didn't have the tour dates on the back. You had to have the tour dates. That'd be the official one. And if you were seen around the town with no back print, it was, you're a poser. And we took this really serious for some strange reason. Like, I'm thinking now, and you're going, it's just mad. Like, it makes no difference. But back then, if you didn't have the back print, tour dates or something on the back. It was like, oh, he's a wag, we used to call them.
Wannabe.
Yeah. Jumping on the bandwagon because some people thought it was cool to be metal. We took this really serious. This was our scene and it was our thing. And of course, it means that really doesn't mean anything, but it was important to us at the time. Yeah, so Anthrax, 87, I think it was October or something around that.
31st.
21st of October.
It was Halloween night.
Was it?
Halloween night.
Right.
87, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so that's the first one, Anthrax. I had bought many and many more down through the years. Don't know where half them went, but...
Yeah. What about yourself, Damien, Paddy? Any favourites? Like Paddy, you'll see him every photograph, you'll have a metal T-shirt on him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
1,000 T-shirts.
Yeah. So what's your favourite? Out of all of those T-shirts, I'd be interested as your friend to know that.
Yeah, probably me Sepultura T-shirts. Probably them now, because there'll be me... Our Paradise Lost too as well, or Halloween. There'll be me 3 go-to bands now I love.
And Damien, you?
I don't wear T-shirts, but I remember back then you'd wear them as a badge of honour. You know, we'd come back from concerts and we'd be walking through the town. We'd have the train and walk through the town with our T-shirts. You know, no matter what the weather was. But I remember having a Donington one from '88 and thinking, oh yeah, this is you've been somewhere and you arrived. It's a great T-shirt. I see some of them around now and they look real cool. You know,
vintage.
Yeah.
Vintage. Yeah.
And going back again, we spoke just earlier there about some of the different scenes, the goths and all that. So Paddy, like who were the kind of cliques of, we'll just say, music styles at the time? There was the Cureheads. Can you give just maybe younger listeners an indication of back then what it was like? As you said, it was a badge of honour, the T-shirt. It was your identity, you were a metaler. So what else was around at that time?
Well, there was a lot of the Cureheads around and the punks too as well. They were kind of nearly fading out though. You'd have Desi and Port McMahon and the boys.
Yeah.
At the back of Tesco.
Oh, true, yeah.
Like we'd be there and we'd have a stereo. Yeah, we'd have a stereo playing away out the back, and Kieran and the boys. They were older than us. Not much, but we were older. We'd all be out the back of Quinsworth there sitting on the wall, Penny's wall, and we'd be just blasting the metal music and all the older people coming by frowning upon us. And the boys, Desi McMahon and Pork, fucking 7-foot hairstyles on them and everything.
The Mohican,
And then there was a lot of Cureheads around too, but a lot of them were our friends, but when they came to discos, they weren't our friends.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But they're all sounds of pound butter, just the way it was. It's like the mods and the rockers.
Yeah.
The rockers.
And just about the discos, Paddy, just give it again an explanation, because that's kind of a thing of days gone by where you had the slow set. So just give just for the younger listeners and viewers, give it like what it normally would be like going to the disco as a metaler.
Yeah.
What would happen?
Well, as a metaler, we used to love to dance, but we couldn't dance. So we'd have to sit in your hands until the slow sets come on. Then you get yourself a wee bird, then you go slow set with her, and you go smoochy cooching. And then you'd be waiting for Kevin Flannery or some of the boys for the metal set. That'd be nearly the last of the night. And when the metal set come on, then all hell broke loose. It was brilliant.
The metal set was Bon Jovi in Europe.
No, but
he'd
always do a lot of Metallica die with Green Hell and that, Last Grass Green Hell. He do all that.
You never played that for us.
Oh, he did.
I did at the Hops,
Yeah, the Hops,
Down on your knees.
Yeah.
So, Damien, just in terms, we've spoken about discos, that's kind of local, but in terms of metal gigs, what was your first metal gig to go to, and what was your memories from that gig, Damien?
I brought the tickets, so I know the date. Accept in Docken, 1st of April 1986. And it was about 6 or 7 of us went up. Paddy Cox, Mousy, Jerry Hopkins. I'm trying to think, was one of the Crystals there?
I think Chicken Crystal.
Jared or Derek. But anyway, sorry. I'm trying to remember. I'd say we were above there, and I was asking Paddy Cox last week, actually, and he was saying we were very nervous. We were looking around because we were from the country. we were up in Dublin on our own, and we're only teens. And we're kind of looking around, is it safe? So we were a bit nervous and a bit cautious, and that's really what I remember for it. I remember queuing up outside the SFX, and it was April. The weather wasn't hectic. And going in, it's 38 years ago, is it? You forget the music. Well, you remember a few songs, but it was just, the crack used to be actually, even in going to concerts, the crack used to be the journey there as a group. And all the crack beforehand. And then your concert, obviously, and then all the crack afterwards, and buying T-shirts and just metal.
In Isaac's hostel.
Playing music in
Isaac's hostel,
But that's all I remember is just the few of us together and that. You kind of forget the...
Yeah, but because like Dublin was an intimidating place, particularly from us coming up from the country.
We're
It's not.
cultures. Come on,
Yeah,
all the Dubs looking
yeah.
at you.
Yeah.
Funny, as I said, I was talking to Paddy about it last week, and he says we changed after a few concerts. We kind of became a bit more confident, and don't come near us. There's a big gang of us, and you wouldn't. You'd be like, there'd be intimidated nearly because there's 20 of us at a concert or more, and they'd be kind of looking around. But we weren't. Not that we were looking for trouble. We never were. But it was just you're always cautious and nervous. You know?
Strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So, Paddy, what was your first album you got, and where did you get it?
I can't really remember my first album I got. I know it's been that long ago, but more than that, I'd say now it was probably the Paradise Lost one. But I had a lot of tapes I got off my brother Casey, Black Sabbath. I still have all his records and everything, you know.
Yeah.
But we used to get bootlegs, and we used to pass around and record each other's bootlegs and all that, you know.
Yeah.
But I say Paradise Lost now was probably one of my favourites I bought. Well, back in the day, Shades of God. It was a brilliant album. But probably wasn't one of my first, but it was probably the one I remember most. Because it's one I kind of saved up for, you know, working in Granny Murphy's. Slogging your ears off in Granny Murphy's. £40 a week.
Yeah.
Paid for a lot of concerts that place.
It did.
Granny Murphy looked after you. That's where Mousy used to work.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
mentor.
And you're still a good man, though. You know, in terms of your collection, you're still keeping an eye out the record fairs that go on.
I
You've got-
still buy record. I probably buy a record every week, but I'm buying tapes now again. Tapes are making a big comeback again, so. And I still have a lot of tapes. I've about 3 or 4 shoe boxes full in the house, and I'm starting to collect tapes now again. And I've about 700 or 800 records, I'd say. It's me funeral fund, as Alison calls it. So when I die, she's going to sell all my stuff and bury me. That's me pension.
vinyl.
Me pension
A
fund.
vinyl coffin.
Yeah.
So, like talking about music collections, because as Paddy had said there, we went to tapes, then LPs, vinyl, then digital or CD, then on to digital downloads. So, in terms of your collection, like Paddy said, there are 700 or 800 albums. Kieran, from your perspective, your music collection, have you held on to it? You know, people go through phases where, you know, they get rid of a lot of stuff. Did you hold on to your...
Yeah, I collected vinyl back then.
Right.
I probably haven't bought a vinyl in, since the 90s, I'd say. I started buying them on CD because you could play them in your car. And I just stopped. But I had, I didn't have 700 or 800. I probably had about 100. They're in the wardrobe in the house. I bought a record player there about 10 years ago. The kids were small and they were running around and I didn't want them to scratch the record, so I put the thing away. And I never played it again. I think I played it once. I think I put the Exploited album on and took it off straight away because I had 3 kids and they were small at the time and they were running around and gone up back into the press. So they're in the press, but I did give away quite a few, and I couldn't tell you who I gave them to. I've given a couple away recently to friends and stuff, but you can get everything on Spotify now. It's not the same, but it's at a touch of it's on your fingertips. Everything now. The kids nowadays, they don't know how good to have it. My 15-year-old come home every Saturday evening and she's got YouTube on. She's dancing around the living room. She'll be mortified to hear that, but she can put on any, and it's usually crap. On absolute rubbish, but she can put on any song they want. We had to earn ours.
Yeah,
we really had to earn our music. It was a bit more special, I feel. But as regard to the collection, I'd say there's probably 60, 70, 80, maybe 70 maybe left thing. But my brother Brian, he had a tapes, original tapes collection that was almost legendary back in the 80s. And he had all the... I only ever bought the thrash, the speed and the hardcore and the punk stuff. Because I didn't need to buy anything else because my brother, he had a wall mahogany unit and it had, I don't know, many hundreds and hundreds of tapes he had there. And he had everything from all the old stuff, Sabbath, Maiden, AC/DC, all that stuff. So I didn't need to buy any of that stuff. When there was a new album out, I didn't know where he used to hear it. We're going to Priest on Friday. And I remember seeing it, Damien used to get Metal Hammer and Kerrang magazine every week or every month whenever it came out, and I'd be down in his room scrounging for looking at, there's a new album out, and Priest of a new album out, maybe 87 or something, and a day later my brother would arrive home and it'd go up into the collection and I'd go, oh lovely, deadly. Yeah. There's a new album now I can listen to. And he did that with all the Maiden and all the Sabbath stuff and everything, and he never told me, he just put it up into the rack. I had another one, and then all the lads. Then I'd tape it for all the lads. That was great. So you didn't have to, because as I said, as Paddy says, we didn't have any money. There was no money back then. So, but yeah, it's amazing now. You can just press a button and you can get anything. Yeah, anything now.
Everything's instant now.
It's all instant.
Yeah. So, like back in the day, Damien, if you were like Kieran has mentioned here about his brother and Krang magazine. So, how did you find out about new bands? What was fresh? What was new? Was it the Krang magazine? You know, where did you buy your magazines? Bus stop. There was newsagents back then. You used to go and get the different magazines depending on what your interest and hobby was.
I used to borrow Kieran's brother's Wi-Fi connection and look up all the new stuff. You must have had one back then. No. We used to buy Metal Hammer and Kerrang, I think, in Keoghans in Castle
Was it
Street.
Keoghans? Yeah,
There was an oldie place.
Yeah.
But no, that was magazines. You'd find something in magazines. Or there used to be a Friday night rock show, Tommy Vance, BBC.
Tommy Vance, yeah.
Only rock show probably in the world, probably at that stage, back in the 80s. But you'd have Nigel Kelly and Jerry Casey, and you'd have them boys finding out about bands and telling you about stuff, or recording stuff and passing it on. So that's where you'd hear about new stuff. Nigel would have the latest new stuff,
Nigel
or somebody would
did,
have it. And just word got around. I remember Derek Crystal was great for collecting music. He must have a side of vinyl, but anyway. But fellas like that, you just hear it off different fellas. You wouldn't really hear it otherwise, only in magazines. And they used to do reviews in magazines. And I remember buying Halloween Walls of Jericho, and there's about 12 albums on the inside, pictures of them, and you go, I must probably try and buy that. I don't know what it looks like. But you'd send off for albums in Town Cellar or something, you know. But that was really it. But a funny thing, I was thinking, when I was thinking about this, I thought, we used to hear albums on tapes. I'm still singing the wrong words to songs 40 years later, because we never had nothing. We couldn't look up the words or not, and sometimes you never had them, so you just make your yuppie jobs. But it was good.
Do a Peter Kay job on a misheard lyrics, metal version. That's the next podcast. Very good. Like even the artwork that was on, there was something special about the vinyl and the tapes, and then open it up and seeing the
stuff. I
I
still buy a bit of vinyl because you have it in your hand. You don't like you play with it. It's like childhood revisited or something, you know.
You feel like you have something.
I'll be out to your house for the rest of them albums if you don't want them.
Behind me.
So, Paddy, in terms of gigs, what was your favourite and what was your worst gig ever?
Yeah, I think my favourite would have been Megadeth Pantera. Back, I think it was 92 in the Point Depot. They were brilliant. Pantera blew Megadeth clean off the stage, and I love Megadeth too as well. That was an unbelievable gig. I got the wee plaque off a dime bag. He threw it out and I got it. And I actually gave it to Benny. I think Benny still has it. I gave it to him because Andre was born that time. So I gave it to him as a wee present.
How many were at the
I want
gig?
it back.
yeah. And how many would have been going to the metal gigs then? What would, like...
I think that time anyway, there was about maybe 20 of us going up on the train that time.
Yeah.
Myself and Sasha Kern and Kenneth Brandy went to, but Adrian had to miss it because he was due a child. But John Cullen was there. And it was a good old gang of us. It was a good gang. We kind of got jumped down outside Virgin Megastore by a bunch of dubs. We gave them the rubs anyway. But when we were heading to the gig, there was a gang of them waiting for us on the way down then. But it was what it was back in the day anyway. We stood our ground anyway, still went to the gig. Yeah. It was a brilliant gig though. Yeah. So that was my best one. My worst one would have been that AC/DC one now, the open air gig, I think it was 2016 or 17 or something. They were brutal.
When was that?
You were at that.
Yeah, remember that Lash and Rain?
Oh yeah.
What year was that, Eamon?
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah, it was.
We were trying to figure
trying
it
to
out.
figure it out,
I think it's more than 2016 now.
I don't know what it was, 15 or 16, but that was something my worst one because we were out in Drumhear the day before and we were on the beer and I had a hangover, and then it started lashing rain all day on us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably the worst
4 in the morning, kind of get back on the bus.
And you can't do outdoor gigs in Ireland. It just doesn't work. We haven't the weather for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the worst one.
So, Kieran, you know a few people that were at the legendary Metallica and Anthrax gig back in 1986, but you guys went to the Injustice Tour in 88. So, what's your memories from that?
Yeah, the as I said, the Master Puppets tour, Damien and the lads were at that. And I was 14 at the time, no money, couldn't go. So we waited 2 years for them to come back again. Everybody couldn't wait for that one. I remember I got a group ticket up at on the train station. 27 of us went, and we got a group ticket with the station manager there. It was £5 each And I remember collecting all around, all the lads coming in school and handing me the £5 and then the day of the thing, and I give out all the tickets. And I remember making a flag, got an Irish flag, and I did technical drawing in school. It was the only thing I was good at. And I took the Kill 'Em All album and traced out the Metallica logo. Do you remember this? And put it down and scaled it all out on the 5x3 Irish flag, and put the Metallica logo on, and then put in Sligo Incorporated instead of Damage Incorporated, and it all exactly done the same way. We proudly raised that flag for 3 days. We'd take 3 days off school. I still don't know to this day how my old fella gave me 3 days off school at 16. Because if it was me now, I'd be going, not a chance. So, but it was there. It was 27 of us on the train. So they 7:30 in the morning. Everybody had the cider, and Mousy Devaney brought a biscuit tin full of salami sandwiches. I'll never forget that. And he's hanging out, lads, salami sandwiches, anyone? Yeah. So got as far as Dunleary, went out in the Dart. Well, we pretty much wrecked the Dart on the way out. We stayed there for 2 nights. It was Danzig, it was support. It was unbelievable. It was amazing, absolutely amazing gig. And the next day, anyways, after the 3 days, we came back, and just want to give a shout out to Benny Hopkins. I think it's his 2nd anniversary.
Yeah,
I think it's the 2nd anniversary, but Benny was the life and soul of the party. Benny was absolute character. And Paddy Clarke was always the jokester. And Benny fell asleep. No, we didn't sleep too much for the 3 days, as you can imagine. We were in the train station, and the toilets were downstairs at the time. But anyways, Benny fell asleep. We were all waiting around for the train, and Paddy drew on do you remember this, Stephen? Paddy drew on a beard, a half beard with a marker onto Benny's face, right? And he was walking around for about 20 minutes, and everybody was looking at him. We were roaring and laughing. Well, we were absolutely roaring and laughing. So next thing, he goes down. He gets up to go down to the toilet, which is downstairs, and he walks past to this woman, and she goes, "They're all mad." And Johan looks at him as if he's the devil. He goes down the stairs anyways, and you could hear him roaring and shouting in the toilet. He comes up the stairs. "I knew it was you, Paddy Cox. I knew it was you." So Paddy, you might remember that. And he spent the whole day trying to get home. I think it might have been a permanent marker. He spent the whole day trying to scrub off the beard. But R.I.P. Benny.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Nice sweet story about Benny there. Thanks for sharing that. So Paddy, coming back to the here and now. So you're listening to metal for 40 years. What kind of bands are you listening to now? You know.
Yeah, no, I'd probably just still listen to the same kind of stuff. I wouldn't be gone now on the newer kind of metal that's out now. It's always been Sepultura, Paradise Lost, and Danzig, more than that. And they're all the bands I kind of stick to. I don't really veer too much off the path I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about yourselves, Damien and Kieran? Paddy kind of sticks to what he knows best, the stuff that he's listened to for the last good number of years.
Yeah,
anything new? Do you like to?
I do listen to a lot of new stuff, but it is in the similar genre of the thrash stuff. I listen to a lot of hardcore and a lot of hardcore punk and Southern California punk, Social Distortion and Circle Jerks and that. And I love the East Coast Agnostic Front and Cro-Mags and all that kind of stuff. And of course, then it's still Metallica have always been my favourite band, still are. And I listen to all the rest of the big four, Testament and Overkill and all the rest of them, Exodus. But mainly, yeah, it's the same as I love some of the new Irish bands. Gives a shout out to Crossfire. They have a new album coming out, or it's out. I think it's out. They're a great band, but it's old school. 10 Ton Slug are from Galway. It's kind of groove death metal. They're an exceptionally great band. They have an album coming out in May, so best of luck to them lads. Seen them live a few times. I'd like to listen to new stuff, but it is in the same genre. I'm the same as Paddy. I think the new metal and some of this, I hate all that rap stuff connected to metal. I don't like that at all. So I like it has to be guitar orientated, and in that same groove. So yeah, so it's amazing 40 years later and you're still listening to the same type of stuff.
Stick to what you know best. Yeah, it's nice to give a shout out to the Irish bands as well. What about yourself, Damien? Stick to what you know?
You stick to what you know, because I was thinking about it and I said, if you were to ask me for my favourite song from the 70s, it'd be War Pigs, Black Sabbath. If you were to ask me for my favourite song from the 80s, it'd be a tie between Wasted Years and For Whom the Bell Tolls. And that's the kind of stuff I listen to.
Yeah.
I don't do the hardcore stuff anymore. I can't. I'm too old. But I tend to drift back to the 70s, 80s metal.
Nice.
That's what I listen to, you know. Oh, you listen to a few odd songs here and there, but I listen to a wide range of stuff now. You know, you kind of throw anything on. It's just because it's all there in front of you. You can get what you want and listen to what you want, you know.
Yeah, well, it was a special time to grow up, you know what I mean, 70s and 80s, you know.
It's the music of your youth. I think it's your formative years. It just seems to stick with you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah,
so
my favourite musicians are still probably the old school guys. My favourite guitar player was always the best guitar player I ever seen was Gary Moore.
Yeah,
it was Irish, obviously, and he was absolutely phenomenal. My favourite guitar player is Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. So there's still the old school stuff. Cozy Powell on the drums, Geezer Butler bass, and it's still even Rob Halford is a vocalist. Your favourite, So my favourite musicians would be the old school stuff that you started off at Scorpions and those kind of fellas. But we hit the niche in that 84 to 87 with the thrash, and the thrash stuff really stayed.
So I'm going to hit you with a rapid one. Favourite song, if you were to name one.
Gosh, that's difficult.
Paddy?
Favourite band would be Metallica. So probably one of my favourite. My favourite album is Master of Puppets.
Okay, well,
of all time.
Not a bad song on it. Paddy?
Probably As I Die, Paradise Lost.
Very good.
Quality.
Excellent. So there's a legendary or infamous gig outside the Clarence back in 1989. See, your buddies, David and Mark Ugan, played in a band in 1992. So it seemed like every metaler was out in Sligo, was out moshing on the middle of the road. So what's your memories of that back then? Can you give a flavour if you can remember back then? Come on, it's a little bit hazy.
You remember you weren't there.
Linden Village.
I actually can't remember. I do remember being there, but it's one of those hazy Friday nights or Saturday. I think it was a Friday night. Just one of those hazy things.
Yeah.
We probably had a few drinks and it was a bit hazy. But well, okay, right. But you know, whatever you can afford. Yeah. But I actually genuinely, I vaguely remember it. But that's as good as it goes. He's the encyclopedia.
Yeah, I remember it well. Yeah,
There you go.
I remember it, right?
Yeah, well, I think they were the only metal band or
Meatloaf
even rock band. Meatloaf
was
thing.
singing
Yeah. Mark Ugan, a phenomenal guitar player, and Tommy Cooney.
Oh, great.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. David Ugan on drums. Meatloaf on the thing. Yeah, but they were the only metal band on the lineup. There was traditional stuff and everything. So we were starved back in the 80s. There was no bands coming. We had to go to Dublin for all our gigs. There was no bands playing in Sligo.
I used to play in Quinns Inn too a fair bit.
There was one. Yeah. There was a crowd in Quinns Inn on a Thursday night. You didn't make it to work the next day. Yeah. There was one crowd. Yeah. But we were going mental on the road. Yeah, I think the cops were called at one stage to get things down. Yeah,
Rowdy bunch.
It was crazy. Yeah.
So, in terms of gigs nowadays, Damien, would you prefer the big, like going to see something in the Aviva, or would you prefer a more intimate setting if you're going to see a band that you like?
I went to a couple of concerts last year. I went to one last May in Cardiff. It was a Black Sabbath tribute. There was about 300 people at it. Black Sabbath, they're actually brilliant musicians, very famous Americans. It was brilliant. I went with Nigel Kelly to see Metallica in New Jersey. There's about 85,000 at it. Give me the 300 any day. Yeah. Except I had a great crack with Nigel. And the best part of the concert with Nigel was sitting out in the car park doing a few burgers and having a drink or two. That's what I remember. But I prefer small places. Yeah, they're just more intimate. It's nice.
Yeah.
Smaller gigs too, because you get to meet the band nearly either before or after the gig as well.
You're chatting to them, buying tickets, and
they're signing the records, or getting photographs taken with you. Where the big stadiums, you're just in and out.
And when you have that loyal following, like he have been to your bands over the years, and they go to the peak and then they come back down again. And not that they come back down, but people move on. As you said, in the smaller gigs, you can meet them before and afterwards. So, Paddy, like, what band have you seen the most?
Be tight enough now. I'd say it could be Sepultura, but then you'd have different kind of lineup with them. Zentrix too was kind of a different lineup too. Obituary, I love Obituary as well.
Yeah,
we're at them the last day now. They'd be my favourites now.
And is there anyone you haven't seen that you'd like to see?
Probably Det. I never seen Det playing. We might have seen them, but I know Chuck is gone and the whole lot, so I don't know what kind of lineup to have now.
So very good, thanks, Paddy. So this is a question to all three. So we're here to promote Sligo Whiplash. The organisers are behind this, huge energy, coordination, bringing metal bands, as you say, Kieran, back in the 80s, starved of seeing live act, went crazy. Hopefully the guards aren't called in August now when the thing goes ahead, right? But from the Sligo Whiplash festivals that has been put on, what's your favourite memory? So I'll start with you, Damien.
Oh, my memories. You're I can remember nothing. I vaguely
it was
remember
that good. You just
remember bits and pieces. Yeah, it's weird. I tend to remember. I must be getting very old. I tend to remember 80s stuff a bit better, or some of it, than modern stuff. You know.
Yeah.
So I'll pass to the experts.
So, Kieran, Sligo's Whiplash. What?
Yes, I'd have to say a couple of years ago when Black Swan replayed one of my favourite bands. They have an album there, 16 Seconds, I think it's called, and he was a very, very professional album, brilliant album. I think Ken Bell had some sort of a heart trouble, was it, Benny? Yeah, and I think he hadn't played in a long, long time, and he came back, and he's a phenomenal bass player, and you can see he gives everything in his performance. You can see pump and sweat. So the boys played that gig, and that was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I remember coming out, got a few photographs with Ken afterwards, and I was saying, it was absolutely awesome. That's probably maybe a favourite. It's great to see, something like Whiplash in Sligo, because as I said, and I just urge all the kids, anybody who's into metal, please come along, because it's the memories they have. Because we were starved of those things. We had to travel everywhere to get this. The odd small gig, and I said that in 1989, the 1992 thing, and of course it was on one band out of 5. You've got 9 bands, I think, now over 2 nights. Yeah, the best of what Ireland has to offer, including the cover bands and original bands. So it's brilliant. So I'd say Black Swan would be a standout moment for me.
Excellent. Yeah. Paddy?
Leitrim Barry, enjoyed that one back in the day. Yeah, that's probably my favourite Leitrim Barry.
Flash coming down into the middle of the crowd at the back of Leitrim.
Yeah, Flash Murphy, it was brilliant.
I remember turning around to Peter Kelly. I said, "You are the #1 rocker in this town." And then he turned around and he thought about it for a second. No, I'm definitely in the top 10.
That was a brilliant night.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
Yeah. Good intimate gig as well, and everyone was there on top of each other. I was kind of raging I missed Onslaught and Derek Barr that time. I was away sunning myself. Yeah. Depressed.
Getting tanned up. Yeah. So, needless to say, Damien, you'll be at this year's Sligo Whiplash.
Yeah, he has Crack Sabbath coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love cover bands. I actually love cover bands. So I do. It's strange. I don't have to see the real thing. I just like the cover bands because the old songs. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Excellent. Paddy?
Oh, 100%. I'd be front and centre.
And Kieran?
Yeah, absolutely. Both nights, yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. And just the last question, lads. Do you think it'll be better running earlier this year? So something like 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock?
100%, yeah.
100%,
not a bad thing. Went on kind of a wee bit late last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on to about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It was wild, yeah.
I have to agree with that. I mean,
just old age.
8 to 12 is a good time.
Yeah.
But after that, you're kind of, we're getting too old.
Yeah, well, that's a wrap, lads. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks,
the three OGs of Sligo Metal, 3 of the OGs of the Sligo Metal scene, Damien McSharry, Paddy Clarke and Kieran Walsh. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope for the newer people that are coming into the metal scene, as Kieran and Paddy and Damien said, a lot different back in those days, postal orders, bootleg tapes, scrounging off your mates, saving up your money that you're working on for a couple of £1 an hour to get the tapes and the patches in Fitzgerald's shop and T-shirts and all that, Greg.
Posters.
So Sligo and the rest of Ireland and from abroad, 3rd and 4th of August, the bank holiday weekend. You heard it here from the OGs. It wasn't easy back in the 80s. It's been brought to your doorstep. Get down to the Garavogue, 3rd and 4th of August. See you there.